Recording. Welcome to Rush Review. Rush is the Royal University of Sheer Havoc, and we are dedicated to promoting not only the education of medieval history, but also Calontir culture, as well as inclusion and accessibility. And in Rush Review, we're taking a look at some of the more behind-the-scenes aspects of how Calontir works. And today I'm joined by Lady Sile inghean Chairbre. Thank you, our Kingdom Minister of Youth. And thank you so much for spending some time with us. We're going to talk all about Minister of Youth at levels from the Kingdom on down to your local group and how you can help. So can you start out by telling us what your vision is for Calontir's youth and family programs?
Absolutely. I am trying to bring in a more broad vision, if you will, of youth activities in our kingdom. Most of us think of youth activities and we think, let's put all the kids at a table or in a room with a specific project and they'll make something cute that they can show their parents and go on. And that's part of it. And I don't want to discount that having um, specific activities that are age appropriate for our youth is an important element, but I really want to bring a bigger view of having youth involved and incorporated into everything that we do in the SCA. I don't think it should be, let's figure out where we can put the kids and get them out of the way. It needs to be, how can we include them in our world in all levels? So that can be including kids on the archery range. That can be, obviously, we do have youth combat, which needs to be separate for a reason. But that's not to say that the adults can't do pickups with the kids when they scale it down to their level. Having the youth in our ANS classes when it's appropriate and makes sense. Having the youth volunteering and serving alongside of us is one that gets missed frequently. Kids can do a lot of things, a lot of busy work, and help take some of that pressure off the adults. And then they feel included and part of our society. So that's the synopsis of my big vision of youth is, let's see how we can include them in everything we do. I want to see kids running around just like the adults, having fun and exploring and learning new things.
That is an excellent way to continue growing the populace here in our kingdom. So how can events be more inclusive of families and children?
I think one way is just to expect that there's going to be families and children and all that that comes with, right? Kids can be loud, they can be curious and inquisitive. They can be all over the place sometimes. So just understanding that that's just part of who children are and being willing to roll with it as it may be. And I want to be cautious. I'm not saying that everybody needs to be super excited about children or going out of their way to interact with them, but just understanding that this is designed to be a family-friendly event, which means families will be there, which means little children will be there doing all of the little things that little children do. And then, like I said, just figuring out how we can incorporate them, maybe thinking outside the box slightly of, I'm doing this activity, which I thought of from an adult perspective. Is there a way I can tweak it and let the kids play too? Sometimes the answer is going to be yes. Sometimes the answer is understandably going to be no. But I think challenging ourselves with that will go a long way in kind of opening that door of possibility, and just making it more welcoming overall.
Excellent. If we have folks who want to work directly with children at their events, what is required to do that?
So there's a couple of different avenues here to coordinate children's activities, meaning that you are planning them, you're the primary person running them, and the primary point of contact for the youth activities. You need to have a background check. You don't have to be a full-blown local or kingdom MOY, but you do have to have a cleared background check. And then you will need one other person assisting you, and that's to maintain our 2D policy. The second person doesn't necessarily have to have a cleared background check. Obviously, the more who have cleared background checks, the better for everybody. It makes life easier. But the person in charge needs to be, they need to have a intent to serve on file with me, and then they need to have a cleared background check. And then, like I said, their assistant can be anyone else who's willing to step up and do that. And then they need to keep the 2D policy in mind. which means you're never alone with a kid. Basically, you are never out of sight of another unrelated adult when you're with a child that doesn't belong to you, is the easiest way to think about it. Um, on that note, a little side note on that, I encourage youth activities to take place in public areas. I think that that's a good idea for a multitude of reasons. And one of those reasons is that safety aspect and that accountability aspect. If you're in the main hall where everybody else is, there is always another adult present with you and that child. Even if your assistant has their attention, directed somewhere else for a brief moment, there's still other people there. It also makes youth activities more visible. And I'm going a little on a tangent, but it is one of my things is let's not put the youth back in a room somewhere. Let's put them in the public eye. Let's put them out where everything else is going on. They feel more included. The volunteers that are working with them feel more included. It's not the most fun thing as a volunteer to be just two adults and a bunch of kids in a back room the whole event. That can be kind of demotivating, if you will. So put the kids out in public, get them a table in the main hall, set up a blanket near the list field, anything like that. Then you are even extra covered in your 2D policy. And the parents are nearby if you need help, things like that. It just makes life better for everybody. It allows our populace to interact with what's going on with the youth and the youth to interact with our populace. So it's a good idea all around. But anyway, sorry, back to your question. You can help with youth activities. Anybody can help with youth activities super easily, especially on the assistant side. If you're coordinating, we do need an intent to file and a background check. And then also I'll ask that you submit a report when your event is over. But that's certainly something I can help with when one-on-one as people are ready to do that.
Wonderful. Yeah, nobody wants to attend an event and feel like they're in a back room babysitting,
No,
including
it's not
the
really
kids
fun.
who are stuck back there. Yep.
Including the children. I see a lot more participation when it's out in a public space.
Mm.
And the kids can kind of come, obviously depending on age and where the parents actually are, but the kids can kind of come and go as it works for them. So they don't also feel like they're confined.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of positives to making it out in the main area.
Excellent. Do you have ways people can support youth and family programs without working directly with children?
Absolutely. I've got some of my intent. I have lots of plans that I'm trying to coordinate, and the more help I have with those plans, the faster they can come to life. Some ideas are make and take bags. I really would love to see make and take type activities at most events. That helps with the kids who maybe aren't comfortable staying away from their parents in a group
Mhm.
environment, are too young, or if there's an event that just doesn't have the staff to have dedicated youth activities, it's a great way to give the kids something to do. So I'd love help putting together some just little craft kits that the kids can do on their own. Other things, we have a youth garb swap that ideally travels from event to event, but sometimes right now I'm the one bringing it everywhere, and that is a lot. If I could have somebody that could coordinate maybe a handoff of getting that to different events, I think that we could have that more available to everybody. Kids grow super fast and garb is hard because as soon as you make it, they want to grow out of it. And so the idea behind the garb swap is just all the parents kind of helping each other out with going, okay, my kid's too small for this, but your kid's too small for that. And if that can travel to events, that would be great. When I say a coordinator for that, doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to every event. It'd be just lining up who gets it next to take it from this one to the next one, etc. I'd love to create a newsletter, and that doesn't have to be or have a newsletter section in the Muse, either one of those things, just for families and kids, maybe with tips, where the garb swap's going, what youth activities are coming up at various events, maybe even entries by the kids themselves. But again, if there was somebody out there interested in helping pull that together, that would be awesome. And then I'm always open to suggestions and feedbacks from parents, current parents who raise children in the SCA whose kids are now grown, second or third or whatever generation Acadians who are still here. I would love input from all of those people casually, or, just let me know if I have questions or need to seek input that you'd be um, willing to participate in that way. Don't ever have to work with a kid. I would just love to hear what your experiences were and how I can incorporate that into what we're doing to make things better for everybody. So those are a few of the ideas. I'm sure that there are more and will be more. So yeah, if you want to help with youth, you do not necessarily have to teach a class or coordinate with youth activities.
Wonderful. And if people are interested in getting in touch with you about that, they go through the office or email on the Kingdom website.
Correct. It's MOY@calontir.org. So easy.
Wonderful. Um, and if somebody does want to take on kind of that more direct long-term role of being a minister of youth at a local level, how do they do that? And what are their
Um,
responsibilities there?
Sure. Right now, the procedure really is just to email me and we'll get you started. Again, MOY@calontir.org. Let me know what group you're in. We're going to get you background checked, of course, if you're not already. So I can send you those instructions. And we're going to do an intent to serve and specify that you are interested in being the minister of youth for your local group. We have a handful of local ministers of youth. I would love to see one in at least each of the larger groups that we have, if not every group. That's a lofty goal, but I would love to see one. They are not required, and we don't want to put that stress on any group of having another required officer. But I would love to see a designated person in as many of our groups as possible. The responsibilities there really are that you are going to take charge of the events that your group is hosting as far as running youth activities. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to coordinate every single youth activity and every single event your group does. It means that you will at least delegate somebody to do so if you are not available, and just help coordinate that. And submit reports, of course, like every officer quarterly. That we all love to do. But those are really the only current responsibilities of a local MOY. Yeah, and I'm here to help and advise and guide as much as needed.
Wonderful. Um, is there anything else you want us to know about Calontir's youth and family programs?
Just I've got some, like I said earlier, I've got some projects that I'm working on that I don't know how long they'll take, but looking into trying to do a page school type of program within our kingdom. An ongoing program that a kid could pick up at any point in time, kind of a checklist of different things they've tried, ways they've served, things like that. It's very much in the early stages. There are a few kingdoms out there doing something similar. So I'm drawing on those resources to see what I can come up with for our kingdom. My hope is that that gives the kids something to work towards, something to motivate them and excite them about events, and something they can work on in between events, and also gives us a bit of a framework for if we're a little lost on what to offer for youth activities at a specific event, it would be a good guide for ideas there. On that note, I do have a list of 101 plus youth activities. So if anybody is looking for ideas and is having trouble coming up with some, I have a very long list, and would be happy to send that over. That's my big project. I'm also working on a MOI handbook, so hoping to pull together some more resources and guidance for anybody who is volunteering, all the way from my current position of Kingdom MOI down to I want to volunteer some, but I don't want an official position. So it'll have resources for all of those options in there once that is completed.
That sounds wonderful. I can't wait to see where some of these projects go. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do.
Thank you for having me.